Right. Let's set the scene. June 13th, 2025. And this code name, it just leaps out. Operation Rising Lion. Today, we're really going to dive deep into what our sources are telling us about this huge Israeli air operation. We're trying to unpack what happened, but also, the history that led up to it, all based strictly on the material we have.
Right. And what's uh, immediately obvious from the sources is that this didn't just happen in a vacuum.
Yeah.
Operation Rising Lion. It was really the end point, the culmination of
Yeah.
literally decades of tension between Israel and Iran.
Decades, yeah. Not just a sudden flare-up.
Exactly. We're talking a long history,
Mhm.
covert strikes, lots of proxy fighting in places like Syria, Lebanon, and just this deep, deep animosity building over time.
And the sources point to specifics driving them.
Oh, definitely. Iran's nuclear program is central, of course. That's been a constant friction point.
Oh, yeah?
And Israel's previous strikes, though maybe smaller scale, on Iranian-linked targets, weapons convoys, that kind of thing. But this operation, Rising Lion, the source calls it a serious turning point. That phrase really stands out. It suggests something fundamentally shifted here.
A serious turning point. That's heavy. Okay, so not just another incident in a long line, but the turning point. We've got the background, the simmering pot finally boiling over. Let's get into the operation itself then. June 13th, 2025, Israel launches, and the source uses the term, a large-scale air operation. Rising Lion.
Large scale is almost an understatement when you look at the targets mentioned. The source material details over 100 Iranian nuclear sites were hit.
Over 100.
Wow, 100. And it specifically names Natanz and Isfahan. Now, anyone following this knows those aren't minor sites. Natanz, Isfahan, they're core to Iran's nuclear infrastructure. We're talking enrichment facilities.
So hitting them was a direct shot at the program's heart, not symbolic.
Not at all symbolic. A very substantial blow aimed right at the core capabilities according to the information we have.
That scale is pretty staggering. But it wasn't just nuclear sites, right? The IRGC, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, they were hit too.
Yes, that's another critical layer. IRGC targets were definitely part of the operation. And what's really striking here, the source names specific high-ranking commanders who were targeted.
Oh, really? Like who?
Hossein Salami and Mohammad Bagheri. These are top figures. Salami heads the entire IRGC. Bagheri is the chief of the General Staff of the Armed Forces.
So the absolute highest levels of military leadership.
Exactly. Targeting them suggests, well, it suggests an aim beyond just hitting facilities, maybe trying to disrupt command and control, hit the leadership structure itself. It shows an incredibly broad strategic goal here.
Right. Which makes that serious turning point label feel even more accurate. It wasn't just about infrastructure. It was leadership, too. So let's just sort of recap the core of this for everyone listening. Our sources frame Operation Rising Lion as this really major event. A serious turning point, they keep saying, because of the sheer scale and the impact described on both nuclear sites and military leadership.
Which, naturally leads to a pretty big question for you, the listener, to think about. When you see a conflict that's been simmering for so long suddenly escalate with such a, decisive and massive military action, one that hits both critical infrastructure and the very top leadership. What are the lasting questions? What happens next?
Does it force a step back, or does it just pour fuel on the fire?
Exactly. Does it lead to de-escalation? Maybe. Or does it risk setting off something even bigger, even more unpredictable? That's something to really consider when you look at events like this.